reading today from chapter 16, and today we're on verse number 17. So I'll do the Sanskrit. Atma sambhavita stabdha Dhana mana madanvita Yajante nama yagnaste Dambhena vidipurvakam Atma sambhavita stabdha Dhana mana madhanvita Yajante nama yaghyaste Dhambena vidipurvakam Atma sambhavita stabdha Dhana mana madanvita Yajante nama yagnaste Dambhena vidipurvakam Atma sambhavita Nama Purvakam Atma Sambhavita Stabdha Mataji's Atma Stambhavita So we do the word for word. Atma Sambhavitaha Self-complacent. Stabdha Impudent. Dhana Mana of wealth and false prestige. Mada in the delusion. Anvitaha absorbed. Yajante they performed sacrifice. Nama in name only. Yagnaha with sacrifices. Te they. Dhambena out of pride. Avidhi Purvakam without following any rules and regulations. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Self-complacent and always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige, they sometimes proudly perform sacrifices in name only, without following any rules or regulations. So let's try to repeat this. Self-complacent and always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige, They sometimes proudly perform sacrifices in name only, without following any rules or regulations. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Thinking themselves all in all, not caring for any authorities, not caring for any authority or scripture, the demoniac sometimes perform so-called religious or sacrificial rites. And since they do not believe in authority, they are very impudent. This is due to illusion caused by accumulating some wealth and false prestige. Sometimes such demons take up the role of preacher, mislead the people, and become known as religious reformers or as incarnations of God. They make a show of performing sacrifices, or they worship the demigods, or manufacture their own God. Common men advertise them as God and worship them, and by the foolish they are considered advanced in the principle of religion or in the principles of spiritual knowledge. They take the dress of the renounced order of life and engage in all nonsense in that dress. Actually, there are so many restrictions for one who has renounced this world. The demons, however, do not care for such restrictions. They think that whatever path one can create is one's own path. There is no such thing as a standard path one has to follow. The word avitipurvakam, meaning a disregard for the rules and regulations, is especially stressed here. These things are always due to ignorance and illusion. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadakti Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sarvajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Tam Tam Tashajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakamanscha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyacharya Satari Vancha Kalpaturubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. So today's verse is completely in the mood of Srila Prabhupada. It's one of those, like even says in the purport, no nonsense verses. It's what Prabhupada and the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara stand for and believe in very, very strongly. To eradicate Nirvishesha Sunyavadi, impersonalistic idea of false ideas, Mayavadi ideas of any conception of God that is not bona fide. So what we're hearing about today is something very, very specific. It's the idea of the demoniac personality or character trait, but taking on the garb of a divine person. Like in the Western tradition, they call it the wolf in the lamb's clothes. It's actually not a divine person, but that person is coming across externally as a divine entity by showing some mystic perfections or some because demoniac people that we are hearing about today actually have some not spiritual, but mystical potencies for controlling people, for making people do what they want them to do, for convincing people very, very strongly. And innocent people who don't know, why don't they know? Because they're not consulting the scripture. Just from what they see, they're believing from what they see, they believe that. Pratyaksha. From direct sense perception, they put their entire faith of God in that person because they saw something mystical. And many people, especially in India, come to God consciousness due to this aspect, or start to believe such a thing. And we're going to see some examples of this very graphically in the mood of Srila Prabhupada, because this is something Prabhupada just didn't tolerate. Zero tolerance for any imposter or anybody who's trying to come across as a divine person but actually has very demoniac qualities. And this Prabhupada would just declare very strongly, this is a demon, this is a rascal. Very boldly, very emphatically. So we're going to see and analyze some aspects of that. So what we heard thus far are different psychologies in the mentality of the demoniac personality. How do they think? Psychologically, what are the ways in which they conduct themselves? And what are the things in their behavior that somebody who's genuinely following the divine path can notice and differentiate that this person I have to be observant of, because I've heard about these kind of traits and I don't think they are divine. Because Krishna, like we said before, has taken a whole chapter of the Bhagavad Gita to explain this. So it must be important, isn't it? It must be important. Like we see there as the overview. So we are doing the second part from verses 10 to 18. So what does it say? Anybody? Activity of the demoniac. So what do they do? Yad karosi. No, not yad karosi. What do they do? How do they act? Because by behavior you can understand the person's consciousness. By behavior you can understand the person's mood also. Just like when we serve with love and devotion, it may be service, but if that mood is not there, then it's not love and devotion. So somebody who understands what is love will understand that this is a loving gesture. This is an act of selfless love. So it's important. So this section that we're doing is the activities of the demoniac. So we're on the penultimate verse. We're on 17. Tomorrow is 18. So in this section then we're hearing about the consciousness or the psychology of a demoniac person. So in the purport, Prabhupada starts in a very interesting way. He says here, thinking themselves as the all in all. We've been hearing these qualities of the demoniac, right? I am, nobody is stronger than me, and I am the controller. I am the enjoyer, and anybody who comes in my way, what happens to them? Out of the way, get rid of them, somehow or the other. So this is a very selfish kind of mood. So here we're seeing that again. So in the translation, Prabhupada translates here. They see themselves as the all in all, not caring for any authority. So this is the other defining feature of the demoniac trait. They don't listen to any authority. So what does this mean? The main authority is scripture. And like we're going to hear in today's verse also, that if somebody is proclaiming themselves as God, then innocent people, first thing you should check, has this person been spoken about in the scripture? Then we can take it as if this person is a bona fide representative or incarnation of God. But just to accept like that, that's a little capricious, whimsical. It's a little whimsical because there's no authority. What is the authority? It's my eyes. And my eyes have deceived me many times. So just using the eyes, we're not going to get perfect knowledge. So one of the things that demoniac consciousness says, don't accept authority. Don't accept scripture. So that's coming out here in the translation again. Oh scripture. The demoniacs sometimes perform so-called religious or sacrificial rites. So externally they're also doing pujas. They're doing charity. Actually some of them are great humanitarians, welfare workers. So in that garb people think, oh, they must be great. Look at how much they're giving to the needy and poor. Look at how much they're doing selflessly. So externally it looks like something, but the genuine thing is not there. So we're going to cover that. There's a concept like that Prabhupada used to use called show bottle. Show bottle. We'll discuss that just now. In the translation he goes on, and since they do not believe in authority, demoniac don't like authority, they are very impudent, puffed up, proud. I know everything. Nobody needs to tell me anything. I've understood everything. So they're impudent. So in the word for word, in the translation, if you read to the verse we're doing today, before we open, they open to verse number 10 that we just did. So 16th chapter, verse number 10. Either the second or third line starts with this Dambha Mana Madana. We see that? Damba. You found that? Which line is it? Second line. Right. The second line starts that. Dambha Mana Madha Anvita. That line. So if you remember the first word there, the rest of the line is exactly the same quoted in today's verse. But only that first word is changed. In 10 it's Damba. In today's words, it's Dhana. Same, exactly same line. Today in 17, it says Dhana, Mana, Madhana, Vitha. Same exactly. So let's read what's 10's translation. So 16:10 says, taking shelter of insatiable lust and absorbed in the conceit of pride and false prestige. Again, false prestige we're hearing here. The demoniac, thus illusioned, are always sworn to unclean work, attracted by the impermanent. Attracted by what is impermanent. So one is wealth, dhana, and the other one is prestige, damba. But the rest of the line is exactly the same. So let's see here. I had something for you. Yes. So in the Western character, anybody knows this? You know who's this? Yes, Pinocchio. So I thought I'll lighten it up a bit because this is quite a heavy verse. So this Pinocchio is one of the Western cartoon characters. And what was the problem with Pinocchio? As soon as he would tell a lie or cheat or do anything wrong, his nose would start to grow. So maybe we should do this to these guys who are doing all this nonsense. So this is something from the Western caricature here, Pinocchio. So on a little more serious then. So how to detect spiritual imposters? Because people want to, nobody sitting here or anywhere who puts faith in a spiritual personality wants to be cheated, right? None of us want to be cheated. Because we give our heart. We give what is the very essence of ourself. We give to the spiritual teacher, to the spiritual master. And we don't want to be cheated or, especially if they're asking us to do certain things. And after so much of sacrifice to know that the person actually cheated you. So we don't want to find ourselves in that situation. But thousands and millions of people do. So Krishna is warning against that in this verse. So how to detect spiritual imposters? So the religious map of the world. There's many religions in the world. So to find the right one, out of searching, Bahunam Janmana Ante, Jnanavamam Prabhadyante, many people finally come to understand that Vasudev Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. It's a very great person. So all of you in Krishna's eyes is Mahatma, because you've come to the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in just few hundred years ago, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we saw this in the Abhay Charan video, right? Or it's in the Prabhupada Leela Amrita. He had to deal with one such person. What was his name? Yes. What is his full name? Loud? Rishik Sen. Yes. So he had to deal with such a person like this, telling people, I am God, pray to me. We know in the Bhagavatam, we know the story of King Vena. So he also told the Brahmanas that don't worship Vishnu, worship me, pray to me directly. So the demoniac nature becomes so proud like that. Like we're hearing the qualities, self-prestige, self-complacency, proudness. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, had to deal with one such person that we're familiar with. So we were talking about this, putting up a show. So this is what is called show bottle. Show bottle religion. So where does this concept come from? So Prabhupada, prior to him, while he was a grihasta, Srila Prabhupada was a pharmacist. And in pharmacies, to actually advertise medicine, they put them in bottles and put them on the shelf like this. So this is where the concept of show bottle comes from. You see, like this. They put them on the shelves like this. So by putting them on the shelves, then people become attracted to them, because colors attract the eye. So people become attracted and want to buy like this. So this is where the idea comes from. So externally, the person is very charismatic, speaks very wonderfully, has a very nice character and demeanor, but internally, it's a bottle, show bottle. There's no substance. There's no substance there. So we don't want to be cheated like this. So to make a mistake is one thing, but to cheat is something else. So this is again show bottles. So we'll come back to that just now. A little more there. So accumulating of wealth. Now, is that such a bad thing to accumulate wealth? Well, we see the example in the Mahabharata of the Rajasurya. It's even in the Krishna book, the Rajasurya Yagya, where the kings, to proclaim their dominance over the world and their power, the emperor of the world sends out a not a request, but like a invitation of donation by the subordinate kings to create alliance. So Yudhishthira Maharaj was one such person who did such a thing. So it's not just an accumulation that having wealth is bad, but misuse of wealth, that is bad. So that's the demoniac nature. The devotee also accumulates wealth, but he uses it in Krishna's service. Prabhupada would collect wealth, fabulous amounts of wealth, but he used everything in Krishna's service. And when he had to spend, he was so frugal, so careful, that even just to send, do you remember the story? To send, to post something, Prabhupada said, well, how much will it cost by rickshaw? How much by posting? Okay, do it this way, by stamp. It's cheaper. So to spend that way, he was very careful. But for Krishna, yes, unlimited amount, very opulent. So the demoniac, they are caught up in externals and no inner substance. There is no inner substance in them. When you speak to somebody, you're connecting with the personality. That personality is of substance. That person has a certain character. He has a certain qualities that will start to manifest as you understand the person, as you become friends, which you'll be impressed by, which you will also connect to and be inspired by. With the demoniac person, it's emptiness. Externally, it looks like something that's divine, but it's actually very empty. We see that they may do some yajna also, like Prabhupada is saying today. They do some big yajnas, big sacrifices. Now this is the difficult part, because externally it looks the same. It looks like the person is genuinely offering something, but the internal mood is what is the demoniac. Just like I have to be a little careful here, because I don't know what is the mood of the person who did it, but many years back, not many years, about 2 years back, somebody at Radha Kund offered 1 ton Chappan Bhog. You remember this? 1 ton of 56 different items, of 1 ton of each. 1 ton of apples, 1 ton of oranges, 1 ton of kachoris, 1 ton of puris. 56 items like that, but 1 ton of each thing. So one may say externally it looks like a little lavish, looks like, you're trying to create a show. Like I said, I don't know what is the internal mood of the person who offered it, but externally we are trying to learn from what we are reading here today. That nothing has to be for Krishna, it doesn't have to be a show. It's bhakti mam abhijanati, it's the devotion that is offered. Then he'll even accept a leaf if it's offered that way. Something very simple. So you get this kind of elaborate, ornate offerings, and from offerings it even stems to deities, where there's competition for deities. Some deities are made which are maybe this high, and some are maybe like our Panchatattva in Mayapur, they are 9 foot high. Then you get deities which are 100 foot high. Like if those who've been to Kurukshetra, have you seen the Hanuman in Kurukshetra? He's huge. I have no idea. He's probably maybe 50 to 100 foot high probably. So innocent people or little naive people think the bigger the deity, the more powerful the deity. The more God is present here. Look at how big he is. He must be present here. Otherwise, how they created such a huge thing? So let's take a look at this a little deeper, because in India this is very prominent. So we see here, if somebody can read, somebody volunteer, yeah? Please take the microphone. Just to show you in India, just some aspects of how people have taken the idea of deity and deity worship to, like, the bigger the deity, the more powerful it is. So somebody's got the mic, can read. Is it working? Is it working?
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody please volunteer. Okay, he's not so clear in English. Okay.
As Hyderabad, we need you to to Ganpati, it also created a record for immersing the country's largest idol this year.
Yes, so they created the country's largest idol, yeah.
The 60 feet high Ganesha idol was created within 3 months.
So that's 60-foot Ganesha. That's bigger than, that's 60-foot Ganesha. That's bigger than our Chitrakoot here.
Using over 200 artisans, the organizer of the Visarjan, the Khrati Ganesha Utsav committee says it gathered artisans from across villages to complete the task. If you thought this was the tallest idol of a god in India, you are mistaken.
Oh, so that's not the tallest one. So let's read further.
The largest Indian statue is still under construction in Nasan Peta Mandal of Sri Kakkokalam district.
Yes.
The proposed height of India's tallest Hanuman statue is 176 feet.
So 176 feet. This is a Hanuman statue. So it must be very powerful, right? More powerful than the one in Kurukshetra.
And is expected to be completed by the year 2015.
So that's this year. Yeah.
Most statues of Hindu gods like Hanuman and Shiva and a few Buddhist statues in India are as high as 100 feet.
So 100 feet high. So yeah, go ahead.
These larger-than-life towering idols can be found in different cities in India.
Yeah.
While Vijayawada boasts of a 135 feet tall Hanuman statue, the Lord Shiva statue in Haridwar stands at its staggering height of 100 feet.
Yes, you remember that as you enter Haridwar going up to Rishikesh on the left side, that huge Lord Shiva there. So that's about 100 foot high. Yeah, okay.
Did you know in the Padam Sambhav statue in Himachal Pradesh is 123 feet high? As a look at the tallest statue in India.
Yes, okay, that's fine. Thank you. Haribo. Thank you. So that's the Hanuman statue. So like we said, if the bigger they are, it seems to be more powerful. This is the picture of him. This is the picture of the Hanuman deity. So he is quite big, isn't he? Sure. So the idea is, in the demoniac idea, the bigger, the more show can be done, the more powerful it is. The more show bottle is there, the more external it is, the more powerful it is. But it's not always the case. So these are also different other deities. Also Hanuman. You want to... Which one you want to see? Okay, you play it? Okay, I'm showing you the pictures. So tell me which one you want to stop at. Okay. This one? Yeah. I don't know. It's written below there. Shouldn't it be written there? I have no idea. This one I'm not sure. It's part of the same page, so I just took the pictures of it. Anyway, the idea is that they use deities, right? So that's the idea, the external idea of show bottle. So we'll come back to more there. Okay. Right. So just for name and fame. So the idea of the demoniac consciousness is not for spiritual advancement, but it's for the external, what they can reap the rewards of. So it's not for spiritual advancements. Also, they don't believe in scripture. We said that. Prabhupada says here. This is due to the illusion caused by accumulating some wealth So how did this consciousness come about? It's by the greed for wealth. By the greed for wealth. Secondly, and false prestige. Instead of analyzing, the devotee is always analyzing his character. What am I doing wrong? What is the level of my false ego? How am I trying to understand my ego? How am I understanding my service, my connection to Krishna? Devotee is always checking himself. The demoniac consciousness is the total opposite. So, demoniac person is always concerned externally. Mogasha moga karmano moga jnana vichetasaha rakshasam asurim chaiva prakriti mohinim stita. Yeah, he's illusioned, he's bewildered by this kind of consciousness. So that's why they don't care for vidhi, for rules. So Prabhupada mentioned one point in the translation, very important point here, this rules and regulations, vidhi. So they say, Prabhupada says in the translation, some self-complacent and always impudent. They're self-complacent, always proud, impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige. They sometimes proudly perform sacrifices in name only. So they also do sacrifices. They do pujas, yagyas, they also perform austerities. They'll also do a whole month of fasting and different kinds of heavy tapasyas. Like this is famous in India, fasting for 1 month without salt, fasting, sitting, like Prabhupada mentioned, sitting in a ring of fire in summer, sitting in cold water in winter, putting the body to tremendous abuse. Now, one level of austerity is for developing determination and spiritual advancement. But it's such a fine line because it can stem towards self-destroying the body. That's why austerity is not something that the devotees are so much concerned about, because it actually just makes you hard-hearted. It doesn't develop devotion. It can if you fixed on the proper devotional mentality, but it very easily can sway towards demoniac, becoming, I did 64 rounds today. Anybody else in the month of Kartik who hasn't is in Maya. So it can become offensive. So what happened, instead of getting the spiritual benefit of doing that vrat, you start to become proud of what you did. And when you start becoming proud, that is a demoniac quality. So although you did the austerity, but the quality that is coming from that austerity, the tapasya, is maybe spiritually inclined, but the fruit of it has become demoniac. Therefore, you always have to do these things in guidance, under guidance. Hari Bhakti Vilas gives detailed information of how Vaishnavas should do certain things. And more than that, Prabhupada has simplified and taken the essence. This is what we should do, just follow that. So it's a very, very fine line. Wow, time is gone. Okay, so they don't follow rules and regulations. So one of the things they do is Nam Yagya. So there's a saying that goes, that it describes how scripture tells of Harinam Yagya, but they do Yagya for Nam. So they are doing Harinam Yagya, we doing Harinam Yagya, Yagya for Harinam, but if you turn it the other way around, they're doing Yagya for their own name. They're not doing Harinam Yagya. You get it? It's a play on the words there. So Prabhupada says in the purport, to take to the renounced order and to do all nonsense is very, very offensive thing. Sometimes such demons take up the role of preachers. So even they can speak very fluently and very charismatically about the scripture. So they're also speaking on scripture because initially we said they don't accept scripture. So you may even speak scripture, study it to speak it, but the purpose, just like Ravana was Brahmanically inclined, he would consult the Brahmins. Kamsa also, he had a Brahmanical council. But as soon as he heard the voice, Devaki's child is going to kill you, immediately pulled out his sword. So Ravana immediately, no, never hear anything. So this is the idea. Although they take counsel and they can even speak with some of the finest descriptions of knowledge that you're not the body was spoken by Kamsa to Vasudeva. If you read that section, very powerful preaching. And yet, at the end of it, he didn't understand it, but he could speak it. So Prabhupada is saying that here, very good preacher, mislead the people and become known as religious reformers. So in India, this is very, very prominent, like we're going to see just now, where they take on the garb of spiritual masters or gurus and spiritual reformers, but actually their consciousness is not so divine. They do a lot of trickery and cheating. So we'll see some of that just now. And also as incarnations of God. Wow, Prabhupada is really hammering it down. So it's not, when somebody is, you see there's two levels here. When somebody is proud and impudent about themselves is one thing. When they're proud and impudent and getting masses of people to recognize them, that's another thing. If you're proud and impudent about yourself, who is hurt is only you. It's only you that's hurt. But when you're proud and impudent and you're taking people to follow you as a spiritual guide and taking the lives of people in your hand, then you are disturbing the lives of millions. And there are people who were in India who took, who had the power to attract millions of people, and they misled them in that way. So it's more offensive, it's more detrimental when you take other people's, innocent people's lives the same way. So Prabhupada is speaking about that here. They make a show of performing sacrifices. Some of them do yagyas, they do japa, they do many different things, many different pujas. If you look at them, you'll say, wow, this is a great devotee, pure devotee. But the consciousness is demoniac. Just like in the Krishna book, there's a story of Vrikasur. So many tapasya, cutting his body, offering his flesh into the yagya. Would you do that for Krishna? I wouldn't. I don't think I would. Here's somebody who's cutting his flesh. He's just about to cut his head. And Lord Shiva said, hey Prabhuji, wait, ruko. Don't go so far, And then what do you want? Okay, I want the power that anybody's head I touch, kaboom, blows up, millions of pieces. You're doing all this for that? Yeah, I want that. Okay. And then when he got the benediction, he says, oh, Lord Shiva, you look like you got a nice head. Nice big jata and everything there. And then he had to run. And then he went to Narayan Vishnu. And Narayan said, don't listen to this Shiva. He's always giving all false benedictions. No, it's true. No, it's false. You try it. Touch your own head and see. And touch, kaboom. So this is the way. All that austerity, cut your own flesh just for that. So this is like in a story that's given in the Krishna book, but it's a reality. People of today will do things like that. Or they worship demigods, or manufacture their own god. We will see that just now. People who manufacture their own god, take the guru to become a god, and the god accepts it. Or the guru accepts it, yeah, I am God. Common men advertise them as God and worship them, and by that foolish, they are considered advanced in the principle of religion. So it's a very significant point, because millions of people are being misled. We'll see just now. Okay? misled in understanding spiritual knowledge. They take the dress of the renounced order. They even wear the garb of a sannyasi, but cheat the people in that way. Renounce order of life and engage in all nonsense in that dress. So it's very serious matter. So because of time, I had some clips that I would like to show you. So let's move on now. So this is the typical example of sadhus in India, right? Now you see this guy, right? Does your foot have to be right there where your head is? I mean, is that what Krishna wanted where the foot to be? So you do so much of austerity and tapasya and become like a famous person. Why? Because you can bend your foot over your head and right behind your neck, and you are somebody great. So is that what you take to spiritual practice for? Is that the purpose of spiritual life? Like I'm saying, we're not judging these people, but we won't want to be misled. Therefore, we have to analyze their behavior. That's what this verse is saying today. Analyze, like we said, 10 to 18 in this chapter is the activities of the demoniac. What do they do? Well, why do you have to put your head behind your head like that, your foot behind your head like that, right? Again here, why do you have to grow your hair so much? Just shave it. Prabhupada was asked by an interviewer, why do you Hare Krishnas shave your heads? Oh, we like to keep clean. I mean, how clean can you be if you got matted hair? You know how dirty that is? Matted hair. So again, not to judge the person, but we're trying to learn something. All right? Again here, sadhu. Not very good behavior. Is that half a hairstyle or something there? I couldn't figure this one out a bit. Seems like he had half pulled back to the side. Yeah? Taken to the side. So famous pictures of sadhus in India, right? If you travel around Haridwar, Rishikesh, upper parts, you'll definitely find or come across some sadhus like this. Kumbh Mela, you'll definitely find some sadhus like this. So like we saying, how would you know if the person is bona fide or not? How would you know if it's an authorized person or not? Very difficult to find out until you hear from him. Externally, you cannot know. But by hearing when he speaks, the fool is detected. Yes, the fool is detected. So let's move on. So this is one of the famous incarnations in India. So we're going to put a bit of volume on this. And again, it's not to criticize the person, but it's what people have seen about this person's behavior. So we're not interested in trying to criticize a person. We want to learn something from Krishna's words, right? So let's hear what they have understood about, because Prabhupada, this person has proclaimed to be an incarnation, something that Prabhupada mentioned in the purport. So I thought it will be relevant to try to hear.
Satya Sai Baba enjoys a worldwide following numbering millions. His supernatural feats are legendary. His devotees regard him as a living god. He delights them at his daily audience.
So he manifests his ashes
and scattering it on the crowd.
And you can see people are very reverent. Like Prabhupada said, they dress in renounced order of life, and they have many millions of followers.
They comprise much of the country's intellectual elite.
So you can see
there's a separate name given.
This person got this ring from this yogi, and he's not an who is he? You know him? Right. So he's not he's actually, I don't know exactly, but he has a master's degree in physics and from Harvard. Right. So he's not a foolish person, but he is following. So like Prabhupada says, even intelligent people will follow this. So he's describing what's in the ring.
There is a diamond in it. God knows what else, 9 stones. And he realized this for me out of nowhere, and I went touch it and then pull it. And he would say, I don't believe this, but it happened to me personally. And I am not a junky kind of person. I've got a master's degree in physics. I've got a master's degree in administration and economics from Harvard.
So he's got master's degrees from Harvard, but he doesn't know which is something is false and somebody is real. And I don't know how many of you have master's degrees here, but we are more simple-minded, simple-hearted, and we're accepting Prabhupada and Krishna's words. And from what we're reading there, this doesn't match. So let's see then, a little further down the line, what happened here.
Just by way of his act.
Continue playback. Playback of Guru Busters on Sai Baba. Tricks. Got it. Now in. Guru Buster. Voiceover off.
Enjoys a worldwide influence, but feeling contradictory between metaphysics.
Hide and seek is first time to design like hold up his sleeve.
Okay.
The scientist's faith in his guru may have blinded him to alternative explanations.
So this is a magician. So he's saying, I can do the same thing. So let's see.
He sees nothing extraordinary making jewelry appear from the blue.
It is all tricks. We call it palming or slay of hands. See, out of this particular finger, I am bringing one ring out. And I'll give it to you. And when he comes forward to take it, I give it to him, and it moves away. And then I say, come on, it can come out of here. So, producing things out of thin air, it is not magic at all.
So this is where he got exposed.
Scientists may believe that their guru can suspend the law of physics at will, but skeptics are now questioning the evidence. This video of Sai Baba is now being circulated secretly in India.
So if you saw there, he was searching under the tray for something. Did you see that? Watch it carefully. His body movement even goes down to say like, where is it? I thought it was here. Look again carefully.
Stage magician's trick to produce a gold necklace for a distinguished guest.
So you see there?
Just before he hands over an award,
You see he's searching there. You see that?
He's searching for something underneath the wooden box. He then draws back his
See?
hand.
So he's searching for something, that jewelry which was there. So it's cheating. If you are God, why do you need to search under the box for something? So again, it's not to criticize the person. We're trying to learn from what Krishna has spoken here. There are very defined qualities of somebody who's, because Prabhupada has mentioned, purity is the force. That is the force of a spiritual person. It's his purity. It's his love for Krishna that is so strong that becomes attractive. Not cheating people with some trinkets. That is attractive. The person's love for Krishna. That a person can give up everything material for Krishna. How attractive must Krishna be? Not bluffing somebody with some jewelry.
Waves it around and the necklace appears as if...
So then let's move it up a bit. So this is a man, again for fame, who's never eaten anything and drunk anything in 70 years. 70 years. So why would somebody want to torture themselves like this? How did he do this? So that's after this, I think. Okay, let's forward it a bit. Yeah. These are people who put one hand up or stand on one leg. Have you seen that? So why waste the human form of life that way? Why torture the body that way to just be standing on one leg, keep one hand up in the air, just you become famous. Show bottle again, it becomes famous as you can see him here lifting, he's just keeping his hand up in the air. So if you spend your whole life that way, so here is a person. I'm going to move it up a bit. So this is a
spiritual
person.
journey, and then he was blessed by the goddess Amber at age 11. From then, he's not eating or drinking nothing. Okay.
So he hasn't drunk or eaten anything.
Anything, if you want to be more grammatically correct. He gets his nutrients from a nectar that flows from the roof of his mouth. Now, when the doctors found out about this, of course they tested him to see whether or not they were telling the truth. And during the weeks that they were testing him,
put a test on him to see.
And there was no trace of any food or drink inside his body. So the conclusion that they came up with was, we believe that the Sadhu Palajani's body went through biological transformation as a result of meditation and powerful yoga in a complete natural environment that he stays. They are.
So due to meditation and yoga, that person was able to achieve that kind of power. But having achieved that, what is the spiritual benefit of that? What is the spiritual benefit? Do you understand who is Krishna? Have you come to understand who is Krishna? So what is the value of the human form of life then? So this is the point. Come to the essence then. So this is a very powerful, it's a 5-minute documentary on how people get cheated in India by those who come in as incarnations. So watch this one very carefully. It's 5 minutes.
He's dressed as a guru or god-man, and inevitably the local villagers respectfully bow down at his feet.
So any sadhu comes to a place, people bow down. So that part is okay.
With his bodyguards at his side, he's about to demonstrate his magical, supernatural powers of healing. But such magic costs money, and these people will have to pay. First, he makes holy ash out of thin air.
So did we see that also? The holy ash trick, right? What they do, they put a tablet between the fingers here. So in their hand like this, you don't see it. And then they take it out from here and crush it and give you special prasad.
And distributes it to the faithful. Next, he uses his powers to make a banknote from nothing.
So now he makes money appear.
And simply gives it away. Then it's holy water.
So this cup can only have so much of water, right? If I had to pour out 1 liter of water from this cup, something's wrong, right? So that vessel can only have so much of water.
It must be holy, because even when the jug is empty, the God-man simply blesses it and makes some more.
So how did some more water come in the jug? Now you seeing this, you believing? Yeah, it's a holy man and the water got finished, I saw that. And now some more water has come.
Such miracles naturally impress everybody. But one man is particularly interested, especially in what happens next.
Now we have a lady who's possessed.
A young woman, obviously very distressed, is brought forward to see the God-man. Her parents explain that they're desperately hoping that the man who can perform such miracles will be able to heal their daughter. She's apparently possessed by an evil spirit, a term used in these parts to describe what others might regard as a physical or mental illness. Using his supernatural powers, the God-man draws the evil spirit out of the woman's body and puts it into a coconut.
So he takes that evil spirit in the girl, puts it in the coconut, right?
Coconut, now possessed by the evil spirit, starts to shake and roll.
So how is the coconut moving? How does the coconut move? That if I'm looking at a coconut placed here, Next thing it starts to move. Oh, something is wrong, you know. So keep, because you're going to meet these kind of people. You're going to have to know how to preach to them, okay? How does the coconut move? See, the coconut is moving. How is it moving?
The God-man then moves the evil spirit into another coconut and pours magical water on it.
Now, just by pouring water on a coconut, it doesn't set it alight, right? But when he pours water on this coconut, it starts to smoke up and become a fire.
The evil spirit is destroyed by fire. And breaking the coconut reveals blood. Now released from the terrible affliction, the young woman collapses. The villagers are even more impressed.
So are you impressed? Now let's see the whole trickery behind this.
But naturally, miracles of this kind come at a price, and the God-man's assistant steps forward to arrange suitable payment.
Of course, you need dakshin, right? Paisa.
The stranger denounces them all as charlatans and reveals the evil spirit that so moved the coconut.
So how did the coconut move? Watch.
A mouse.
There was a mouse in the coconut. It's a set-up coconut. It's a prop. They cut the coconut before that, put a mouse inside, and close it. And the mouse is running on the inside of the coconut. It's making it to move. Oh, very powerful yogi this, huh?
In fact, the God-man is not what he seems either. He's a bank manager.
He's a
And
bank
half an
manager.
hour earlier, he was putting on his costume alongside the supposed stranger, who's part of the same group. Meanwhile, the evil spirit was being placed in the coconut with suitable air holes. The purpose of the whole show is to educate the villagers into the ways of trickster godmen.
So the purpose of this whole thing was to educate the villagers into trickster godmen. Same thing Prabhupada says in the purport today.
And while the final makeup was being applied, a fiery coconut was being prepared by inserting a piece of potassium into the tufts.
So if you put potassium and you put water, it starts to fire up. So they put it into the coconut. So when he threw his holy water, it started to smoke up.
The addition of some water and a little overacting would ensure a dramatic display.
But it's believable, isn't it?
As for the everlasting holy water, the jug has secret side panels.
So this is a special jug with secret side panels. If you block the hole with your thumb, the water stops. And there's panels, there's no water comes out. And you release air, again, water flows.
A small air hole on one side, covered by a thumb, releases water from the panels and refills the jug. The young woman is in fact perfectly healthy. She and her supposed pet.
She's just doing a drama. So can you see how believable it can be? If you go to a village and do this performance there, people will think, oh, this is a great sadhu, this is a great God-man. He can heal people. And this is how they collect followers and money. So Prabhupada is really stressing on this point. Don't be cheated in this way. Scripture can tell you who is God. Therefore, demoniac consciousness don't follow scripture. They follow their eyes, but what they see from their eyes will delude them. So, because, oh boy, time has really got away. Thank you for waiting so long. So we won't also take any questions because of time. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanande Hariro.